Hey guys, a different niche for today's video, taking a break from the corporate tech content. This video is for the creators and aspiring creators out there. Over Christmas, I bought an entirely new camera setup, and for the past 5 videos, all the videos I made this year, I've been filming with that setup. No gatekeeping today, I want to share all my gear with you. So welcome back, hit subscribe, and here is my 2025 setup. Alright, so I'm making this video because it seems like in every video people will comment, what gear do you use, what camera do I use? And the last time I made a video like this was last year when I had my old Sony setup, and since I switched back to Canon with all new lenses, new camera body, I have to make an update. So here's the timeline of my video making career in terms of gear. For the first 12 years since my first camera, it was all Canon. So like in high school, college, I had Canon DSLRs like the T3i, the 70D, 80D. When I started making YouTube videos post-college, I had 2 different Canon cameras. I got started with the 5D Mark IV, and I used the 5D for maybe the first 20 videos on my channel right now. And from the 5D, I switched to the Canon R6. So most of the videos on my channel were filmed with that R6. And I really feel like I established a style, the jedcal style, with that camera. In terms of the color grading, that specific look, a look that's a little bit less sharp and softer. And yeah, I really like the Canon setup. I was pretty much the only creator in my circle or even extended circle that shot with Canon. To the point where in 2023, I started thinking whether I should switch to Sony. Sony does video really well. So I sold my entire Canon setup and I bought the Sony FX3, which is like a beast of a camera, super powerful. And I used that camera for all the videos in 2024, but for some reason, I feel like I wasn't using it to its full potential. I spent the entire year trying to figure out a style for myself, which is hard when everyone shoots Sony. I felt like I had a specific style that I established shooting with Canon, and it felt unique to me. But yeah, nothing against Sony, this was just a skill issue. So I shot a lot in standard mode, and it's just like, why buy like a $4,000 camera if you're just gonna shoot in standard? So over Christmas, I decided to make the jump back to Canon. I sold my Sony setup, and I bought a very similar setup to what I had before, just like upgraded versions of them. But yeah, it's funny because my friends joke that I went from corporate to YouTuber back to corporate, and in the same way, I'm reverting back to Canon. It's the year of reverting. But yeah, I'm excited to share my gear with you guys. I even have new tripods, monopods, a new mic setup that if you're an aspiring creator and if you want to know how to get shots like this, yeah, I got you.
All right, I'm filming on my iPhone now. These videos are always hard to film because I only have one camera, so filming my own setup can never be cinematic. So for the camera body, I have the Canon R6 Mark II. My last Canon camera was the Canon R6. So this is the R6 Mark II. There's a lot of Canon mirrorless options. This is also not the most expensive mirrorless. I think there was the R5, which I think is a little overkill. I think that shoots 8K. This shoots 4K. For the lens, we have the 16-35 aperture f4 with image stabilization. The one thing that wasn't good about Canon, and it's kind of why I switched to Sony at the first time, was that they don't have the best lens options for mirrorless. They don't have a 16-35 for their mirrorless. They have a 15-35. I noticed that when you get to wider angles like 15 on Canon, it gets really wobbly in terms of image stabilization. So I went with my old setup, which I knew worked well for on-the-go vlogging, which is the DSLR 16-35. And then I got a mount from mirrorless to DSLR. Absolutely no regrets at all with this setup. That's enough for the main setup. We're gonna move on to our lenses.
The camera body alone is not going to give you a nice cinematic shot. You need good lenses. And I'm going to tell you guys exactly the cinematic lenses I use. But first, this video is sponsored by Fiverr. They've been supporting the channel for years. What they do is they connect you to freelancers, making it really easy to outsource. I run a college dorm review website, and something I wanted to do recently was make sure all of these dorms have an image to them, because these are just placeholders. And I really don't have the time to go and take a photo of every single dorm. I learned recently that I could hire a photographer local to New York to take these dorm photos for me. So I went ahead and hired this freelancer. I let her know I wanted photos of the following dorms. I said I just want a photo of the building, and after shooting the NYU dorm, she edited them, sent them over within 1 day, and here are the photos that I received. I was super happy with it, and all I need to do is add it to Rate My Dorm. I used Fiverr most recently for New York photography, but I've also used them for web development, clothing design, social media marketing. What I love about Fiverr is that even though I'm so busy these days, having this access to their many freelancers helps keep my projects pushing forward. Visit fiverr.co/jedcal to check out the services available to you and get 10% off your first order with code JEDCALAPRIL. All right, right now I have the 16-35 on my camera, my vlog lens, so this is on my camera maybe like 80% of the time. If you've seen my videos before, you'd notice I would go from a talking scene like this and then transition to a scene with music, with black bars. Whenever I do shots like that, I call those cinematics. I usually switch to my 35mm and I shoot at an aperture of 1.4. So this is a new lens that I bought. I think they just released this last year, but this is the 35mm 1.4 VCM for mirrorless. This one has been working great. I always film at 1.4 if I'm doing something cinematic. Otherwise, I would just use that lens. The reason why I got a 35, even though I have a 16-35, is because the high aperture 1.4 lets the background look more blurry. And the way I use it for slow-mos, for transitions, for cinematics. I want it to look very different from this shot. I achieved that not only with the help of the 1.4, but the secret sauce is the Pro Mist. So this is the Tiffin Black Pro Mist. It's a filter. And what it is, it's like a dreamy overlay. It makes the skin look softer, it makes everything look softer, it makes lights look less harsh, and it also acts as like a protector for the lens itself. So I always have this on. I have it on for all my lenses. This, and that. They all have the 1/4 on. I've been using this since like 2019, since I was doing photography. Okay, but if you're gonna have a lens that has a high aperture like this, you're gonna want a good ND filter because there's 3 things to think about: the shutter speed, ISO, and the aperture. Your shutter speed should stay at 1/50 if you're doing vlog stuff, and 1/50 produces a pretty bright image. 1.4 aperture also produces a really bright image. So a lot of times the image is just way too bright and you don't wanna adjust your shutter speed to make the image darker. That's why I always leave this on, which this is just something that makes the scene darker. So this is the Nissi True Color ND filter. It's variable, so you can adjust it to how dark you like it. And why I like it is because there are guards at the edge, so you know which is the dimmest. So I also leave this on right here. Yeah, I love this lens, really good for cinematics. And this is my most recent purchase. This is a macro lens. This is the Laowa 90mm 2.8. It allows you to film things like your eyeball, the keyboard really closely, so you can go like this close. So now the macro lens is on. I can go super duper close to the camera. It's just for detail shots, so don't expect to use this very often unless that's your niche. The only thing is that it's manual focus only, but if you're going that close, you're not gonna wanna do autofocus anyway. So yeah, I hardly use this, but I use this one all the time.
I can see the magic in the air. There's something about you, it's making me feel so unusual. And tonight, I'm brave enough to say that I want you to stay. 'Cause this kind of love that we share is so unusual.
Let's talk about microphones. So I used to film my vlogs with this Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, a very, very popular mic. But then after a few years, I started realizing I don't want a setup this big. The Canon is big enough as it is, and putting this on top, it's just way too large. It requires me to carry a bigger camera bag when I go out and film. When I first started out, I really wanted my setup to look as bulky as possible because I thought it looked more professional. But anyway, I've since switched to the new DJI, I forgot what it's called, but it's Bluetooth mics. So it allows me to keep this here and I can go walk around, I can go far from the camera, so it'll sound good. The only downside is that it just requires a little bit of extra steps to set this up. There's a power button here, a power button here. You might be wondering if this is too much setup for vlogging, for running gun filming. I would say yes. I don't think I would have liked this years ago, but these days I don't really film out on the street where I would need a quick shot. A lot of my talking shots are just either at home or in a place where I know I have some time to set up and film. A lot of times when I go out, I would just film the B-roll and then just voice over or just do some text overlay. So because of that, when I put this camera in my camera bag, all I do is attach it like this. And then this is my camera setup. So with the gear, you're gonna want some type of tripod. And I have 2 that I've been using, one for home and then one for when I'm on the go. Okay, I'll start with on the go. This is a mini Manfrotto tabletop tripod. The weight capacity of this is I think 5 to 6 pounds, so this works great for the Canon setup. I used to have those Joby Gorilla Pods, the one that Casey Neistat popularized and everyone started using, and I used that for years, but then I started wondering, why do people like this? One, it's so large, And even when you put it down on a table, it's not gonna be leveled automatically like this one would be. You kind of have to configure the legs. Also, I was never really wrapping it around a tree branch or a pole. That's when I realized this is a way better option. It also grips nicely when you're vlogging on the street. So I use this when I'm out on the go or I want a quick shot on my table. But when I'm at home, I recently got this monopod with a base plate. This is the Cobra 2 round base monopod. This is so sick because, okay, so there's a heavy base plate allowing it to just stay upright, and you can adjust the height here as well. And then I just have a quick release plate on the top. But why I like this and why I never use my tripod anymore is because it takes up so little space in my apartment, which is a big deal. The tripod is huge with the leg spread, and when I'm done with it, I have to fold it back up, and it's just so much work. Having this always set up to the height that I always use it at makes it so much easier to film and get started. I can't recommend this enough. I also have this because I film Instagram Reels and TikToks too. This is for my iPhone, so it's dual purpose. If you're watching this and thinking everything is so expensive, I will say that it is expensive, but buying better gear has been the best investment I've made year after year. Throughout college, I did so many photo and video gigs just so that I could afford the next best equipment. So I had a long career of slowly upgrading until I could afford better equipment. So yeah, it's a good investment. You can shoot gigs, make some extra money, and buy more gear. I will have everything that I talked about in this video linked with my Amazon links in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys learned something. I'll see you guys soon.